hear us? Yes.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for making it to the right room. We struggled a little bit, but we're here now. Really excited to talk to you today on how you can advance your mission or support a charity with their mission. And we're going to be sharing some resources with you to see how you can make the most out of Salesforce. So to begin, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Sylvia. So Sylvia and I met actually through the Trailblazer community. We've been to lots of events together, and it was only last night she reminded me that a year ago at the last London Calling Speakers Party, she suggested we speak together. Here we are. So quite pleased with that. Sylvia is an incredible, inspirational woman. She is the head of systems at Advice UK. She is a trustee at a charity called Music in Hospitals and Care. She is obsessed with learning, loves watching football, is incredibly passionate, I think that's the Italian in her, and also loves connecting people. So she's just completed the Scale Up Architect course. That's no mean feat, it's really intense. And she also is now combining her passions by connecting Salesforce professionals to charities in order to help them in volunteering. I wouldn't be surprised if this time next year we're all part of a five-a-side, so be warned.
How can I follow this introduction? So, let me try. So this is Safiyyah. Safiyyah is a certified lead functional consultant for a consultancy called Give Clarity. She is the co-organizer of the Pardot user group here in London. She is also very passionate about non-for-profits, and she's herself a trustee for a charity local to her called Lewisham Local. And she loves crafts, so she runs a crafts club. So perhaps while we're doing the five-a-side, she can make something.
Thank you. So over to you about the non-profit journey.
So today we are going to take all of you into a little journey that has 4 stops, because we think that digital transformation is a journey, not just a destination. And in order to go onto that journey, we need to think, how am I going to go from A to B? So this is what we're going to talk to you about. Both of us come from very different perspectives. I come from the end user perspective, so I'm normally the client, and Safiyyah is a consultant. So she holds the hands of the client to go through their digital transformation journey. So over the years, in our different roles, we've learned different things, and we came across resources, and that we hope not all of you may have heard, and that from today you can use them in order to accelerate your charity mission like we have been doing with ours.
Thank you. So as part of this journey, we're going to be talking you through these key areas. Effectively, what we're saying to you today is that you should prepare, get advice, take ownership, and then continue to improve throughout your journey. So we'll be splitting these into sort of 4 themes where we'll share resources and advice in each one. But ultimately, they are going to overlap. You'll notice a lot of crossover throughout. And of course, with the final one, continue to improve, you use everything you've learned throughout the journey, so it's cumulative and you build on it.
So prepare. How can you prepare? Because we said that we're going to go on a journey and we have to go from A to B, we need a means of transportation. So I'd like all of you to think that we need a car. Obviously, if you're all in this room, we all have chosen the brand of the car, Salesforce, but there are so many types of cars. Do I need to speed through the German motorways, or do I need to go through bumpy road in the countryside? And all these decisions that you have to take at the beginning of your journey are very daunting, especially if it's the first time that a charity embraces that journey. So a lot of charities say, but where do I start? It's so big, the task is so big. So first of all, you have to accept the fact that you can't do everything at once, so there will be phases. So concentrate on those pain points that are critical to you. And actually, I was given a great piece of advice by a consultancy that is here today, in Prasia. They told us, what do you need to report on? And that is a way to think backwards on what do you actually need and when do you start. So how do I prepare, though? So you've got different ways. First of all, get your Trailhead account set up straight away. And you may tell me, well, but what's the point of me starting to learn Salesforce, all the technical bits, if I am not going to be involved in the actual org? I'm just here to facilitate the project. Well, I really think that this is a mistake because in order for you to have a meaningful conversation with your consultancy, you need to understand what the platform can do. And every time there is a new product or service that you're going to implement, go and learn it. And one thing that I've used a lot at the beginning of my journey was the Salesforce glossary. So at the beginning, I used the glossary because I could not understand words like record types. And when you, and obviously even record and fields, and then obviously if you work for a charity, sometimes you don't even know words like leads or lead conversion because it's a very salesy terminology. And now that I'm using the glossary to explain my colleagues what the Salesforce terminology can do. Because what they're going to come to you with is, I don't like the name lead, can we call it something else? And I was like, no. No. I can change account to organization, that's all. And then certifications. So I have a very unpopular opinion about certifications, which is that every time in my organization we go for a new product or a new cloud, we have the rule, I made the rule, that at least 2 people in my team, we get that certification. And that is so important. And again, you might say, but why? I'm never going to touch Pardot. Yes, but you need to speak to the consultancy and tell them what you actually need to do with Pardot. And because you know your organization and you know what Pardot can do, you can ask them the right questions.
I love this.
Oh.
Yeah, can we clap for this? Okay. Please, can we clap for this? I love this idea. I met Emma and Sylvia at a user group, at the Pardot user group, and they said, we're doing our Pardot specialist set. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Like, I was so impressed, and I think it's really set you up for success. I think it's safe to say you guys are kind of flying with it. And I can really emphasize from the consultancy side of things, really helps when your client's got that foundational knowledge, has a bit of context, kind of knows what they want. We can kind of work on it together, but it really, massive head start on your journey, so I really recommend it. Bit of a controversial opinion, but I think it's a really good one. And also bear in mind that Salesforce does offer discounted rates for certifications for nonprofits as well. So, it shouldn't be a daunting thing financially as well. There's a lot of potential there. And
we'll share at the end how you can get this certification voucher, because how many of you did know this already? I didn't know. I didn't know at all, and I never applied for one until recently. So, but at the end, we'll share a whole list of resources that we are going to talk through the presentation, because our presentation doesn't have many words. And so, but don't worry, because at the end, we'll share a QR code, and you have got plenty of resources.
Thank you. So now that you've got this foundational knowledge, what do you do next? What's the next step? And we would say that it's to get advice. So being here at this sort of event is already getting advice. You're speaking to other people. But there are lots of different people that can help you at different stages, whether that is your business processes, user adoption, how to automate an email send. All of these things will be kind of different specialty areas. And when you're starting out on your journey, it can be difficult to know who to go to for which specific advice. So we're going to break that down a bit for you. Your first port of call is probably going to be your account executive. So you'll hear the term AE floating around in Salesforce. You might hear SE, solution engineer. There are lots of different roles within Salesforce, but your account executive is going to typically be your first port of call. They're somebody that's going to be assigned to you, and it might change over the course of your journey, but effectively they can link you to other people at Salesforce. They're also going to be responsible for advising you on things like products and licenses. Salesforce, if you didn't know this already, does offer 10 free licenses to nonprofit organizations. And you can also get 5 free integration licenses, and that's applicable to all customers. So if you are thinking of connecting Salesforce to your other systems, those 5 integration licenses are really helpful because you're not taking up a seat that could otherwise be allocated to one of your end users. Other things that your account executive can help you with are connecting you to other partners as well and advising you on other products that you might look into. So if you wanted to add something on, your account executive can kind of be your guide through your Salesforce journey. Maybe a bit more like a car salesperson, but I think they're a lot more than just sales. And some of the account executives can really set you ahead, again, on that structured journey. Just like with any contract, make sure you fully understand everything that's in it. Do your research. Things like the glossary and Trailhead will really help with that. And just like any other contract or sales deals, there are good times of the year to get a good deal. So Salesforce's end of year is in January. Other partners may reflect that. If that suits your schedules, then do ask lots of questions and make sure you understand everything, is my advice. Next is user groups. I am more than a bit biased as one of the co-leaders of a user group, but actually when I was an end user, this really helped me. It's how I got into the Salesforce space, it's how I started asking questions, and it's a really good place to learn from other people, users, consultants, other partners, and so on. At the user groups, you can join them in person or virtually, and again, we'll share the resources later on, but there's a great link where you can go and search for user groups, either in your area, or if you're joining virtually, there's nothing stopping you from joining something on the other side of the world. Sometimes the timings work out better for you. Next is the app exchange. So we're going to try a little video here and talk you through a little bit more about what the app exchange is. So basically, when you go onto the app exchange, it's kind of like your guide for finding lots of different products, add-on solutions. As a Pardot consultant, one of my favorite ones is email templates that you can install into your account, so it gets you that head start again. And having a bit of an explore around the app exchange is a really good way to do things. You can search for things that are specific to your organization, so in this case, maybe grants management, and that will show you a variety of solutions. So that will range from apps to add-ons, and maybe even some flows as well. So if you want to search through the app exchange, you can find out and filter on different products. You can see their ratings. And when you click through, there's quite often going to be some screenshots, maybe even a demo video, and they're almost always reviews as well. What I would suggest is a lot of people don't go back to the app exchange once they've got the product. So if you find there's limited information, YouTube is a really great resource to see more demos. Salesforce put their own demos up there, and you'll also find them by other users and partners. So you can get a bit more than this overview if you search elsewhere as well. In terms of reviews, speak to people at user groups. So again, here there's one. Quick shout out to Sam, who's the CEO of Lewisham Local. We use outbound funds over there. And you'll be able to find out more from other users and people who've been using the app through things like YouTube and user groups as well. So do bear that in mind. As well as the products, you can also search for consultancies on here too. So I've heard this described a bit like dating. When you're looking for the right consultant, you might not necessarily know what you want, so kind of have a bit of an explore, understand what you might be looking for, and have a bit of a search. I think I've skipped ahead a little bit. This is a quick demo of the non-profit solutions as well, so I'll pause there for a second. We do have some non-profit and industry areas as well on the app exchange.
I think that not many people know that you can find a consultant there, and when they say, well, where do I start? Well, the app exchange, but that's where you just get your app. But no, there's so much more, so much more.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a
hidden gem,
I think. Yeah, definitely a hidden gem. And when you search for consultants on here, you can search by industry expertise. So this is really useful if you want to find someone that's experienced in the nonprofit space. Not necessarily the case that you need that, so kind of, again, have a bit of an explore. You can also search based on their location. Again, that may or may not matter depending on your requirements, but also based on their rating and how many consultants they have. There isn't necessarily going to be a direct fit, so it might not be that because you're a big organization, you need to work with a big organization. Asking lots of questions is really going to help here. So when you go onto a specific consultant's page, what they'll do is on that page, they'll have their own reviews. You can see a summary of how many projects have been completed, and there's going to be a bit more information that they're displaying here. So across the slides, you can see things like, any awards they've won, what sort of projects they do. And I love this section at the bottom here. So this is a really great place to find case studies, sometimes webinars or testimonials, without having to go and submit an inquiry in. So you can do a bit more window shopping at this stage too. When you are ready to contact them, contact information will be available in the app exchange. So again, it's a really good place to find out more and reach out. A little bit easier than just viewing a Google search. On these pages as well, you've got the expertise area and reviews. So under the expertise, I love this section. This is relatively new, but it shows you, based on the projects they've already done, what sort of expertise those consultancies have. So as a consultancy, we have to submit projects to Salesforce to say, this is what we've done, these are the products we used, this was the type of solution, even how long the project was. And then that follows on to review as well. So where you see that Salesforce verified icon, I'm a bit scared to use the laser. There you go. Where you see that, it's basically saying that Salesforce is confirming a project has taken place, so it's gone via that direct route. You can just leave a review as well, so you don't necessarily have had to have a project, but as a customer, I think it's a really good thing to look out for, so you can see those verified reviews as well. And then finally, in terms of this getting advice stage, is around pro bono support. This is a really hot topic. I've already had 2 or 3 people talk to me about it this morning. And Sylvia and I are both very, very passionate and strongly opinionated about this. So I'll keep it brief, but please do come and talk to us if you're interested in volunteering. To kind of start with, I think Salesforce sets a precedent about this really early doors by the Pledge 1% commitment, and a lot of partners will follow suit. So this is effectively saying that organizations will pledge to support charities, whether that's financially or through pro bono support, in a way that then kind of gives back to the community, and I love this about it. So a lot of partners will offer pro bono support. You'll also find volunteers who are maybe starting out in their career who want to learn. And what the 2 of us are really passionate about is making sure that people who are volunteering are also supported. So especially if you're starting out in your career, it's great to volunteer, but it's helpful to do that with the support of experienced consultants or other nonprofits behind you. From a nonprofit perspective, to get the most out of your volunteers, highly recommend thinking about your requirements before engaging in that support and using that as a way to kind of assess who might be a good fit for you. It's still very much that sort of shopping around process. Finding the right volunteer is really important, and ask them about their previous experience or support that they have in terms of any support behind them as well.
Yes, we are so passionate about this bit in particular, and we're both involved in a new initiative that was born at the latest sprint here in London, which matches charities with junior admins, but the admins are supported and guided by a pool of technical experts, so watch this space. So congratulations, you've got out of the shop, you've got your car, and somebody needs to drive it into the journey. So this is a time that you need to take ownership. And in my opinion, the best way to take ownership is to do it internally at this point. So if you followed what we said before, by now somebody in your organization that is now the accidental admin. Hopefully they're not too accidental at this point because they've worked with the consultancy, so they know what they're doing. According to the latest non-profit trend reports provided by Salesforce, there is some interesting data. 37% of organizations lack of budget for digital transformation projects, and 28% lack of skills talent. So if you invest in your internal knowledge, these numbers don't apply to you anymore because you can do your projects in-house. So, but obviously not all of them. It's not all bad news for consultants. So what happened with us, for example, is that obviously we couldn't do our Salesforce implementation by ourselves. And once we took ownership of our org, we then went back to the consultancy for all those projects that are way beyond our technical expertise. And again, we worked alongside them, we've learned, and now we take even more ownership of these other products. But how do you take ownership? So upskilling your users, of course, there is no good systems if your users are not using it. So obviously you will train your users, but the best thing is to obviously create a very easy user experience, that allows your users to navigate the platform and then provide users with training within the platform by using out-of-the-box solutions like paths, rich text components, with filters, screen flows, in-app guidance, guidance center, you name it. Yes, and if you have to hire your first Salesforce admin, it's quite difficult for a charity that is hiring for the first time to write a job description. And last year, I have helped a charity that was looking to hire their first admin, And they said to me, they sent a job description, said, no, this is an admin job description. You want a Salesforce admin. But where do you start? So last year, Salesforce launched the skills kits, and there's a little video, very short. So you Google admin skills kits, and you go onto the website. Gillian Bruce is there, and as you scroll down the page, there is first a main section where there's for people looking for a job, employers hiring, and then if you're already an admin. But the real gem is the skills. And all these parts here with the skills show you all the skills that you have to have as a Salesforce admin. If you click on each of them, it will be split in 3 tabs. The first tab is for job seekers and admins, so what do you need to put in your CV, and it gives you examples on how to showcase your knowledge. And for employers, what do you need to add on your job description, and then under the resources for both. Now let's hope that yes. And now you've hired your admin, but where is your documentation? So obviously your consultancy would have given you the bulk of your documentation as part of their project, but now it's up to you to maintain that documentation. And sometimes you think of documentation as a massive document that is really difficult to navigate. But documentation starts within the org, so use whatever you have there with naming conventions, field descriptions, report folder descriptions, and report descriptions, for example. And then perhaps you can reference inside the org where the external documentation is. You're going to make a change today, and then tomorrow you're going to forget why and how you made it, and you're going to bang yourself on the wall. And then, if there is one thing that I want you to take away from today, is that the biggest resource in order for you to make the most of Salesforce is the community. Is the person sitting next to you today that you haven't met before today, is people like Lizzie Roberts, who is incredible, an incredible advocate for us as not-for-profits, is user groups, is Ask Me Anything sessions, is meeting up on a Friday afternoon when we've gone through our week and you've got a burning question and you can join a call and you say, guys, I'm stuck with this. Can you please tell me how can I figure it out? So for us non-profits, the community is key because everybody wants to help us. I really doubt that somebody's going to say, no, sorry, don't care.
Yeah, I love this. Everything that Sylvia has just said is so important. I think coming from the consultant side of things, I think making sure that you're teaching somebody to fish rather than just giving them that fish is really crucial to what I do. And then from the trustee perspective, seeing the team upskill and learn and get passionate about stuff is so rewarding, and it means that the system will be able to kind of continue to grow. So as you continue to improve, it's kind of, you've got from A to B, you've got your implementation done, like, what's next? Like, that's not the end of the journey. So there's so many different options for you, and really this is where you can start to create your own journey, carve your own path. And if Salesforce was telling you, they'd probably say blaze your own trail. So you can start doing all of this stuff. You'll notice the cars change colour. You might upgrade, you might make adjustments, you might take other people with you. You might go from your Mini to a minivan and bring
people carrier
with you.
Yes.
There you go. And that's part of the excitement. I think sort of understanding which direction to take can sometimes be a bit daunting, but you have options and the community will support you. So to tell you a bit more about that, the first thing we're going to talk about is community events. So you're here, you're at what I think is probably the best one, but you'll find there are going to be so many options out there, and once you dip your toe in, you're going to want to jump right in. So there are loads of different types of community events that you can go to. We've touched on the Ask Me Anythings, coffee chats, conferences like London's Calling. You can even go on holiday and go to a conference. There are loads of different user groups, and the difference here in this stage, so where you might have gone to a user group in the early stage to find out more about product, here you can get really stuck in. You can start to develop. You can maybe even present. You can ask other people questions. You can meet others and share ideas. And if you did have that burning question that you couldn't answer by Googling your way frantically through it, you can ask someone and they'll maybe talk it through with you. So it really adds to that dynamic by going to community events. Again, sort of from the charity perspective, I would say encourage your team to go to them. carve out time in their diaries for them to make that time and go, because it will not help only just their career development, but it helps you as an organisation to continue to upskill and invest in your team. Another way of investing in your team is through mentorship. So whether you are a mentor or a mentee, there is a lot to be gained from this. You know, you've got that person or maybe people guiding you through a process. Something that is kind of talked about in volunteering is, again, having that mentor or like somebody to speak to you about things. If you want to speak to anybody about mentoring, I'd speak to Nathaniel and Sylvia. They're a great case study in it. And I'm pretty sure you'll find other people here today that would be happy to either mentor you or be mentored.
And if you, well, whether you're London-based or not, but at the London Admin User Group in July, there will be the next mentoring matching that Amanda does. So you are given a form and you can apply both as a mentor and a mentee. I do both. And you are matched with somebody that is based on your skills and what you're looking for. I definitely benefited a lot from mentorship, and so much that last year I did a talk with Nathaniel about mentorship.
Yeah, highly recommend. And actually, quick sense check in the room. Is anybody interested in becoming a mentor or a mentee? Do you want to put your hand up and have a quick look round? There you go. Suss each other out, maybe find each other after the talk over lunch. Yes. So the next one I want to talk about is Trailblazer Trustees. Sylvia and I presented on this at the Women in Tech event recently. It's something we're both really passionate about, and in the last year have both become trustees ourselves. I did a course with an organisation called Getting On Board. I won't repeat the talk we did at Women in Tech, but a key takeaway from me was just I didn't think I would be a trustee, didn't think I was the right fit. I had an image in my head and it was not this. But doing the course really helped. So Getting On Board provides training for people who want to become trustees, but also for charity organisations. So if you are a charity that's looking to expand your board, I would really recommend checking out what they've got on offer. There are loads of free webinars. There are specific training programs you can join as well. And the reason we've said Trailblazer Trustees is because there's a lot of talk in the space around like digital trustees, digital transformation. If you're already on a Salesforce journey, then bringing in somebody with that expertise or experience in that particular sector can really enhance the way decision-making happens. So having somebody who gets the industry, understands the products, can really help by having that person on the board to really support each other. You know, ultimately your board is going to be a diverse group of people who bring different things to the charity and support your mission. So kind of thinking about when you're expanding around, you know, maybe somebody who's in the Salesforce space or somebody who's got that digital experience can really help continue you on your journey and get you buy-in. From the charity perspective, it's so important to have an ally on your board, as somebody that at the time of taking a decision and everybody has to raise a hand and they have to release £100,000 of reserves to do a Salesforce implementation, and they say, oh no, we can't. Somebody can stand up and say, yes, that's fine. This budget is correct because this project is going to go over a few years. The impact is going to be this. A bit of risk needs to be taken. So for me, it's so important that to have somebody that understands and speaks your language at the board level. And then finally, the main thing I just want to say is like adding to the community aspect is share your knowledge. You're all here today. I think we're all benefiting from the many speakers and people we're chatting to in the foyer. So sharing that knowledge is so powerful. I heard somebody saying yesterday that there are industries where people are still very protective over the knowledge and they don't really want to share their ideas. And it blew my mind because I've been in the Salesforce space for a while, pretty much my entire career. And I just thought, why would you not share your knowledge? So I love that about this space. I think the community is very open, very excited to talk about what they've learned, and ultimately what you've learned will help other people. I get people asking me this at the user group all the time. They're like, I don't really think I have anything to say. I haven't done a big project. I'm like, if you just like created a new flow that you really like, or you added a description in a different way to a field, come and tell us about it, because that will help somebody else. Everybody has something they can learn from each other, and you definitely have something you could teach any other person in this room. So yeah, I think my takeaway is really like, as part of the community, share that knowledge. It's so important, and it helps other people on their journey too. So to wrap up, we would advise you to prepare, get advice, take ownership, and continue to improve. That's really going to help you get the most out of Salesforce resources. As we've reassured you a couple of times, we do have all of these resources available, and we'll share that shortly, but all of this is going to help you on your journey, so do bear it in mind.
And as promised, here are the resources for you. You scan this QR code and it's a lovely document with lots of links, including the email address that you have to email in order to get your certifications, the coffee chats with Lizzie, the Ask Me Anything sessions, everything that we talked about is there. And then we would be happy to take your questions. And perhaps I would suggest if you can start, we had some questions already in the app, and I think the first questions that was asked to us was about, well, is NPSP going to be retired? And we talked to Lizzie about that because we want to make sure we said the right thing, and the answer is no, but yes.
Yeah, so NPSP isn't going anywhere. There is the new nonprofit cloud, which some of you may have heard about. So that has kind of launched already, but there's more to come. So in October, they're going to see bigger changes around fundraising and new functionality there. Our advice to you is going to be really tap into your account executive. So if you're an existing customer, chances are you're maybe using NPSP already. That's not necessarily going to have to change. But if you're interested in any new products, do speak to your account executive. For those of you who are thinking about implementing Salesforce, especially if you're thinking about it later in the year, you may want to weigh up the differences and the costs or benefits against each one. Again, your account executive is going to be the best person to speak to. We've shared a blog that's going to tell you a bit more about that in the resources, but ask questions. Really just, it's your product, you're going to be learning from it, you're going to be using it. Both of those will be available to you, so ask the questions about it, especially around fundraising in October.
There was another question. How can I answer this question from a non-profit organization? What is the difference of Salesforce from our current CRM app? What makes it better?
I'm going to give the classic consultant response and say it depends.
Yeah. I'll give you the answer then.
But yeah, I think there's going to be a key takeaway from this, right? There is something that really sets Salesforce apart from other products. We're not going to go into the product level, but I think what actually really sets it apart is Sylvia's passion.
So I'm on the board of our organization, and they are through the process of choosing their CRM, and they say, oh, which one we should go for? And I said, well, the thing that I bet you cannot find it with any other product is what comes with Salesforce. The amount of people, knowledge, free resources, support, friends, community groups. I really doubt that this exists anywhere else. So the community.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. Any other questions?
Any more questions?
Thank you so much for the talk. What would you recommend a software consultancy agency do when they want to engage with a non-profit? Like, how do we advertise ourselves when we've literally just started this initiative with Salesforce? I'm leading the, if you guys want to come and talk to me, I'm here. But yeah, our team is a couple of months old, and we are desperately looking for projects to engage in. So how would you recommend, we're not yet at the stage where we can advertise ourselves on the partner page that you've shown. So where would be the best place to start?
I've got an idea. Do you want to?
Yeah, I could maybe take this. So I used to work for a consultancy who set up a new branch in Australia, and actually the guy who started it over there was really passionate about non-profits, so we were starting really from zero. We had no brand awareness in Australia whatsoever. We went out there and we wanted to start with non-profits. The first thing we did was a few pro bono projects. So if you've already got the consulting expertise, you've already got the people there, if you can invest the time, doing a few pro bono projects is a great way to start. It's a good option for the non-profit because they know it's somebody reliable who's maybe not worked in the space before but is learning and has the technical knowledge. And also from a consultancy perspective, it gives you hopefully a great case study at the end, and that will help communicate more about yourselves to other organizations. So that would be my advice. If you can offer pro bono support initially, do that. It's a great way to give back, and then it also helps you build out that marketing collateral as you grow.
Come to the sprint in London at the end of June. Yeah? No, community sprint. There's more. If you if you scan this, there's I think the registration link is in there. Is registration still open?
Yeah.
Is it on the 30th? Yeah.
Yeah. No, and for the community sprint?
Oh, is Reg still open?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the free people, they're very few spaces left. So.
Yeah. So if you want to come, I'll be there. to work on non-profit projects. Any other questions? No? Thank you so much, then.
Thank you. Oh,
Thank you so much. Oh. Question.
Yeah, I'm happy to ask later.
Oh, it's fine. We have 2 minutes.
Okay. I was, first of all, thank you. This was amazing. I was wondering what your experiences are with pro bono work and how do you say that, the dependency that sometimes exists. Somebody made something for you, it was super custom, there was a lot of code, and the next time that somebody else wants to make something for you, there is a huge hurdle for the next volunteer pro bono partner.
yes.
How do you manage that?
I'll keep my answer short because I know Sylvia's going to have lots to say about this as well. But so from my experience as a consultant, I would say documentation is key. I kind of tightened up a little bit when you said loads of code and customization, like use standard components where you can and try to keep it low code. That helps the organization. From a consultancy perspective, make sure you're upskilling the people that you're handing over to, whether you're a volunteer or being paid for doing it, it's really important. As a trustee, I've seen that dependency. I've seen, lots of customization happens or new products are implemented, and then there isn't necessarily that upskilling. So making sure that you're prepared to take the reins afterwards, or you're there throughout the journey as they're doing work, is going to be really helpful. Documentation, massively, massively important, and handover and training.
And have a policy as well, if you are giving the opportunity to do pro bono work, an agreement between us, and keep a close eye on what has been done, because if you have gone onto Trailhead and have learned about, let's say, Pardot, and somebody comes in and says, I'm going to build a trigger that does this, and then and you're like, but then who's going to change that? Who's going to be able to look after that? So you need to own your solution and push back. That's why I do a little bit too much of pushback. I want to know, why is this better than this? So recently we are going through a project, and I said, why do we need to use this app when this app does the same and is half the price, and we've got support around the corner? I don't know. We'll go and check it out. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anthony from Deselect. And what is Deselect as a platform? It is essentially a way to enable marketers that use the Salesforce Marketing Cloud to get more out of their data. Deselect serves both non-technical marketers, for instance those who do not know how to write SQL queries, as well as technical marketers who are very well versed in the platform but who are looking for ways to be more efficient, or who just want to enable their less technical colleagues. Deselect is an official Salesforce Marketing Cloud partner that offers the leading marketing data enablement platform on AppExchange. Fortune 500 leaders and mid-sized businesses leverage Deselect's intuitive solutions to help marketing teams create more powerful, segmented audiences, control marketing communication frequency, and achieve faster Marketing Cloud ROI without code or technical dependencies.